So in the last movie, we looked at the markup which is used as the building blocks for data tables. Now let's start to apply some style to make the table look more attractive. And in this movie, we're going to concentrate on table borders. So before we go any further, let's just recap on the HTML markup, where we have our table with a summary, our caption element, followed by t-head, the table footer, and then the contents of the table inside t-body. Before we go any further, let's preview this in the browser with only the global style sheet that we're using for these examples. Okay, so let's dive straight back into some code and look at styling the individual elements inside our table. The first thing that I'm going to do is to apply a style for the caption element. This is the element which is a little bit like a header but linked to the table, and we're able to style this element in any way that we like with the text styling rules that we've seen in previous examples. Here I'm giving it a little bit of padding to the top and to the bottom, aligning it to the left, whereas the default browser style for captions is to align center. I'm transforming the text into all uppercase and setting the font size to be 120%. That's slightly bigger than the browser's default style. So let's save the file and bounce back over into Firefox to refresh and see what changes that's made. And now we can see that the caption is beginning to take shape. So let's go straight back into the code editor and apply some styles to the rest of the table. The first thing that I'm going to do is to add a combined rule which styles tables, table heads, and table cells, TDs. Here I'm applying a border, 1 pixel, solid, and a mid-grey to table cells, table heads, and tables themselves. I'm also using the border collapse property. And it's a little bit strange to see the syntax of this, but using border collapse ensures that all of the borders of the table cells merge together to stop us from seeing double borders. So let's have a look at that style now in the browser. And do refresh. And now we can see much more of a default styling for a table, where every cell is surrounded by a plain border. It's not the result that I'm wanting to achieve for the final design, so let's go ahead and add some other rules. First of all, I'm going to apply a specific style to the table, and in this case, I'm going to be setting the border to none overall, but then reapplying a border top and a border bottom of 1 pixel solid and black. So let's save, fly straight back over into Firefox and refresh. And now we're not going to see any specific change at this point, but let's move on and look at the next set of styles that I'm going to add, which is for the TH. Now here in the table heads, I'm setting a little bit of padding, 5 pixels to the top and the bottom, and 10 pixels to the right and the left. I'm going to reduce the font size down to 90% of the default. And also you'll notice that I'm setting the text transform to uppercase. This means that I don't need to type in uppercase characters all the way through my table heads. Just use CSS to change the case. So let's save that and preview that in the browser. And now we can see that that table head area is really beginning to take shape with the borders that go all the way around. One last set of rules for the table cells themselves. And this simple rule just applies similar padding, this time 0 padding to the top and the bottom, and 10 pixels to the left and the right of each table cell. This is going to give the content a lot more breathing space, separating it from its borders. So one final refresh and preview in Firefox. And here we see a simple, structured data table with borders. So in the next movie, we're going to be taking a look at how we can use background elements inside tables to really start to enhance the presentation.